this is Eastdale Tarn in the Lake District, and this is where Angel of Grasmere, a lot of the action is set, because up by Eastdale Tarn during the Second World War, in my story, there is a man, and he's hiding up here. In fact, if you look over there to that large rock over there where those people are walking, that used to be a wall it used to be a wall that was part of the hut, a refreshment hut, which used to be up here on the lake. And for me, like coming up here and being where that refreshment hut was, is really helpful for me, because my character in the book, he hides in that refreshment hut during the war because he's been to war. He's been at Dunkirk, which we've been talking about, and he's really stressed, really messed up. He's got post-traumatic stress disorder, and he can't face war. He can't even face his family. He just needs to hide up here in the mountains. So for me, coming here to see that rock, to be in this place, really helps me understand what his mentality must have been like. Helps me get into the character, as well as going to Dunkirk and seeing what the beaches were like, and seeing what, you know, going to a place where such a dramatic action happened in the Second World War. That is really useful for me, as is coming here. And another thing which I've found really useful is when I write a book, I often try to get an artifact, something from history, that brings me close to what I'm writing about. And in this case, this is an entrenching tool. It would have been contained in a little sort of bag or sort of, I'm not sure what the word would be for it. I should have thought of that before I made this film. But it would have been contained in there, and it would have been used during the Second World War to dig trenches, to hide from incoming fire, to make a foxhole, to even sleep in during the night, or also in hand-to-hand combat. So an object like this would have been like vital, to a soldier during the Second World War, and at Dunkirk if you wanted to dig a hole very, very quickly. And having this object, my character in the story has this object, and he uses it at the beginning of the story. In fact, I might just read that bit, because I think that'll be quite useful if you'll give me a moment, Mr. Dilly. Right, I shall read it now. When he realised that one of the children had spotted him, the man who had been hiding round the back of the stone refreshment hut scrambled into the network of tunnels he had crafted through the dense fellside bracken. Something he had learned to do while playing here as a child. He had spent most of the day lower down the valley watching the harvest, women and children, men bringing in the sheaves, everyone helping each other, and for a few minutes he'd relaxed, enjoyed the sweet smell of the cut grass wafting up the fellside, the sun on his skin. But this sense of peace hadn't lasted long. It was replaced quickly by guilt, for not helping with the harvest, for doing nothing, for being nothing. Now back high on the fell, he tentatively put his head through the bracken. He saw the three children stop suddenly, and even though they were so far away, he noticed they were pointing. Then he heard the noise, the roar, saw the aeroplane, and his legs buckled underneath him, dumping him to the ground in his bracken tunnel on his backside. He felt his knees reflex up to his chest, his arms snapped tight around his head, and he heard himself cry out. The noise of the plane, then the sight of it, had taken him back to France, to war. Once he was over his initial shock, he scrambled on all fours, wanting to get away from the stone hut, the only building on the fell. Could that be a bombing target? Still under cover of the bracken, he pulled a length of wood and what looked like a small shovel from a brown pouch, that's the word, attaching the wood as a handle to the shovel to assemble his entrenching tool. He began to hack at the earth, creating a shell scrape or a shallow trench where he lay, his face pressed into the soil. And that part of the story, which I feel is realistic and authentic to, in fact, it's based on a book I read by a veteran of the Falklands War. Having this object makes me feel a lot closer to my character when I'm trying to write him, and probably, hopefully, makes me write him better. Anyway, that's the story of this place, Mr. Dilly, and that's the story of this object, and that's one of the ways I go around about writing, because I wanted to capture what would it be like if you were a soldier who was a deserter? What would it be like if you had post-traumatic stress disorder? And how, having never experienced those things myself, having read about them, just coming to this place and having an object like that helps me to write it